Hi, everybody. Can't believe we're already in week 5. Um, as I think about the meditation that we did with labeling, definitely was an interesting one for me. Uh, this one I actually decided to lay down for. So when I was laying down, I remember first thing that I labeled was feeling like I was floating. It almost felt like I was like suspended in water or something of that nature. So first label that I gave was floating. And then after that, I remember labeling um, a feeling, an emotion that came up, which was annoying. I could hear one of my kids in the other room. I think it was my daughter in her room with her Alexa, and I could hear something that she was trying to say or turn on. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to be peaceful right now. So first thought that came into mind was annoying. But then it quickly stopped. And then I noticed myself labeling that experience of like listening. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening really hard, trying to hear it now, and it's gone. And so then it's this absence that happened, which was interesting because it's like, okay, how do I go from annoying and now I'm searching for something that isn't there? I remember initially hearing like a fly, which it's been driving me crazy. We've been having flies all in the house recently. So initial reaction to the fly buzzing around was like frustrating, right? That was the emotion that came up. And then after a while, that changed from frustrating to buzzing. So it just automatically just went to the actual sound of it versus the label that I initially attached to it. And then I started noticing that my phone was buzzing. And so that turned into buzzing as well too. I noticed some other sensations in my body, such as itching. For some reason, I felt like my foot was itching or my inner thigh was itching. Um, and then it turned into like a tingling that I felt in between my toe. Um, so it was a lot of things whenever I started labeling that occurred, which was interesting that sometimes the same thing's label would actually change. Just like I mentioned with my daughter, possibly my daughter in her room, the annoying changed to searching, listening. Another thing that happened was one of my kids came into the room and I noticed that I had this panic. So it was a panicking feeling that came in because I'm like, okay, I just got to a point where I feel relaxed. And now this is happening. And also, I started noticing like my heart rate. So originally, my heart, I was like, okay, beating. That was my original label for my heartbeat, the feeling of it in my chest. And I noticed that I don't really notice it as much as I was doing that. So it was like kind of almost like a new type of feeling because I don't pay attention to it that much. And then when my one of my kids came into the room, I remember feeling like, okay, the panicking, but I noticed that my heart went from beating to thumping, and then it went back to beating again. And then there was another moment when it started thumping again. Whenever I had sat up and I realized like, wait, it got really quiet. Like, did the meditation end? Like, am I not aware of what's going on here? So then I noticed that it started thumping again as soon as I laid back down after checking, and then it returned back to the beating. Um, so definitely very interesting, kind of noticing those different things. And I don't know. I think the word that comes to mind is awareness. Um, a lot of times when I label things, I feel like I am being very judgmental in those labels, but today didn't feel that way. It just kind of felt, which you just saw the fly. Today it kind of felt more like an awareness versus a judgment call of it. Um, and I think it goes into kind of like that initial reaction to some of the things was a judgment, but then it kind of turned into this, oh no, I'm aware of it. I'm noticing it. It's here, but not so much of like, okay, it's neither good nor bad, right? The sound with my daughter's room is neither good nor bad. And that's, I think, why I started searching for it and listening for it versus just automatically thinking like, oh yeah, this is negative. So I think that was something that I want to be more cognizant of is really paying attention to how to not be judgmental in these moments and just being aware of it and being present with it. Um, had a little bit of a difficult week in some ways. Some things have kind of not gone my way, and it's like all in all, I don't know if I feel as upset as I started off today with it. So just awareness is really what stuck with me.